Hello YouTube, and welcome back to more chatting about books with me, your host, Logan Albright. I didn't have a video last week because I was in Scotland having a lovely little holiday at the beginning of the year in the cities of Edinburgh and Glasgow, mainly Edinburgh. And on my way home from Scotland, I caught what I'm calling the Scottish super flu, which is why my voice is not quite normal today. I have had a cough and been feeling horrible, but I'm mostly well now, but my voice has not completely recovered. But I thought while we're here, I could talk about some of the books I bought while I was in Scotland, because one of my favorite things to do when traveling overseas is to go to the bookshops and to buy lots of books. Great Britain has particularly good bookshops. They have a chain called Waterstones, which we do not have in the United States, and I'm always impressed by how many great books this chain has. I also went to quite a few independent bookstores as well, but Waterstones has such a great selection that I don't feel the need to go to too many independent ones. And you can get stuff there that you cannot get in the United States. And it's a lot of fun. So I always like to stock up on books when I'm overseas. And that's exactly what I did. I went to, I think, 3 different Waterstones and a couple of independent bookstores. And here's what I picked up. I was limited by my luggage space because I like to just carry on bags and not check things. But I did make sure I left plenty of room. So I wasn't able to get everything I wanted, but I got a lot of good stuff. Beginning with a new Welsh dictionary. I've been learning Welsh for a long time, and I'm getting pretty good. I can read books in Welsh now, but I need my dictionary. And my old dictionary, this one, which I bought in Wales at a little thrift shop for £1, is falling apart. The pages are falling out. The spine is all dirty, so I had to replace it. I really like this Collins Pocket Dictionary. It has lots of different words in it, which is useful when trying to read novels. The learner dictionaries I find that other people like don't have nearly enough words in them and are not that useful when trying to read, grown-up text for adults. So I got this little Collins Pocket Dictionary to replace the one, and I like it. It seems to be identical as far as I can tell, apart from the size and the cover design. So that was good, but now on to the novels. I got this book, which I'm not going to talk about now because I've already read it, and I want to talk about it next week in our review video. But it is this Penguin Weird Fiction Library, which I discovered, and I'll have more to say about that. It's very short, and I like weird fiction. I'd never heard of this author, Gertrude Barrows Bennett, and the book is called Claimed. It's a very strange little novel about kind of lost civilizations. I really liked it, and I'll do a dedicated video to that next week, and we'll talk about it. Now, I've been doing a lot of Anthony Burgess reviews because I really love him and I'm trying to read all of his books. His books are hard to find in America. You go to a Barnes & Noble, you'll maybe, if you're lucky, find a Clockwork Orange. You won't find anything else. But he's a British author and he is much more popular in Great Britain than he is here. And you can find his books there in like mainstream bookstores. So I bought 2 Anthony Burgess books when I was over there. One of them is The Wanting Seed, which is, I think, one of his early books. Kind of came out around the same time as A Clockwork Orange, and it's sort of a dystopian novel. It looks very short and easy. I can't wait to read that. And the other one, I dropped it, is 1985. Not 1984, but 1985, another kind of political satire. Look at the dystopian future from Anthony Burgess. Should be a lot of fun. Again, quite short. I'm looking forward to reading both of those. I think I'll get through them quickly. Next up, I got from the Oxford Library, Sheridan Le Fanu's Uncle Silas. I really like Sheridan Le Fanu. I've only read a collection of short stories by him and his vampire novella, Carmilla. And I think he's great. He's an Irish kind of ghost story writer. And I really love his work. I think he's very atmospheric and very beautiful. And so I'd never read this novel by him called Uncle Silas. And I saw this in this Oxford collection. I kind of like these editions. And I thought I'd pick that up because, I like horror and I like weird fiction and I like ghost stories. And he's one of my favorites. If you haven't read his short stories, I think they're very, very good. If you're going for like that kind of Victorian style of ghost story, I don't think you can do much better than him. M.R. James is sort of the famous one, but M.R. James is a little bit stuffy for my taste. And I find Le Fanu is a more dynamic writer in that regard. Now, one of the things in Edinburgh that I thought was striking is there's this giant monument to Sir Walter Scott. It's like a huge, obelisk, not obelisk, but it's this huge kind of like spire in the middle of the city. And it's really beautiful. And it's like really adds to the landscape and the skyline of the city. And I went to it because I didn't know what it was. And I went up to it and said, what is this? And it was a Walter Scott memorial. And I realized, and looking at it, that I've never read anything by Walter Scott. And in fact, I don't know anything that Walter Scott has written. I don't know anything about him. And so I thought, well, I'm here. I might as well pick up a Walter Scott book. And I did that very thing. And I got this book called The Antiquary, which is another Oxford edition here. by Sir Walter Scott. It was apparently the author's own favorite of his novels, and I like antiquarian things, and I think that I will enjoy this a lot. So we'll see. I haven't got to it yet, but it's high on my list of the books that I bought of things I want to get to pretty soon. So hopefully this will be fun, and I'll learn some new stuff about a new author, because I really don't know anything about Walter Scott, but he's apparently highly revered in Edinburgh. One of the things I loved about that city is just how, like, intellectual it is. It has all this history of the Scottish Enlightenment, and, like, I went to see the grave of Adam Smith, who's, I studied economics in grad school, and so he's one of my heroes. They have a big statue of him there. You know, David Hume has a statue there. And again, I realized I'd never read anything by David Hume, so I ordered, where is it? I don't know where it is, but at some point I ordered a book of David Hume's essays, because I realized I want to read some of his work. I've never done that before. So that's also on my list, although I don't have it at hand here to show you. It is around. So I also want to read David Hume. But yeah, Edinburgh is just a beautiful, like, intellectual city, and it's really renowned for its writers, and it's renowned for its kind of history and culture and intellectual, you know, nature. It's a place where new ideas came to flourish, and I think that's really cool about that city. So I really enjoyed spending time there, and particularly in the bookshops. And then the other book I got, it's quite a thick one. This is a book by Ronald Hutton. Ronald Hutton is sort of a medievalist, anthropologist, historian, scholar who specializes in things like witchcraft and paganism and the occult and stuff like that. He's very well known in pagan circles. He's British. His books are not that easy to get here. Again, a lot of them are out of print in the United States, and a lot of them are not that regularly available. I recently read his book called The Witch, which is a history of witchcraft, which was quite good. And this is a book called Blood and Mistletoe, the history of the Druids in Britain. And I think Druids are fascinating. They're very Celtic. I love Celtic things. And we don't know very much about them, as far as I know. The only thing I know about Druids, well, I know a lot about Druids, but like the sources I know from which we know things about Druids are like Julius Caesar and the conquerors, and like, because the Druids didn't have any written language as far as we know. They didn't write anything down. And so we don't have anything straight from the horse's mouth. We only have stuff from people who kind of, you know, interacted with them and wrote about them. So probably not very accurate. But I'm interested in learning more kind of from a scholarly perspective about what the Druids actually did and what they were, as far as we know. And I trust Ronald Hutton to give me that information, because he's a very erudite and very, you know, good academic who specializes in that kind of stuff. And I had seen this book the last time I was in Britain a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, this looks good, but I didn't end up picking up a copy. And then I wanted to get it here, and I couldn't seem to find a copy here. So that will be on my list of cool books to read pretty soon, too. And then, yeah, I have the David Hume, but I don't have that at hand, so I won't show it to you. It's by the Liberty Fund, which is a kind of libertarian, classical liberal publisher. I have a lot of their books in my collection. I think they do very good work. And I had always seen that they had a David Hume volume, and I'd never read it. So now I'm going to read it. So I really have my work cut out for me. I have a lot of reading to do. I'm going to go do that now. But why don't you check back next week, and we'll talk about this awesome weird fiction book called Claimed. And I have quite a bit to say about it, and I think it's really fun, and it's a cool book that I had never heard of before, and I imagine many of my viewers have never heard of before. So we can learn something new together by going over that. And my voice is giving out because I still have the Scottish super flu, so I'm going to go and do that. But thank you so much for watching this little book haul video from the wonderful land of Scotland. And I'll be back next week with more book reviews. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me comments down below on your views on all these books and more, and we will talk next time. Thanks so much for watching. I've been your host, Logan Albright, and I'll catch you next time.